Hey guys, welcome to another episode with Blender Bro. And today we're going to be learning the basics of edit mode and how to use the tools. And of course, we're going to be learning how to create a basic room setup as so. I also use a bit of physics property. I also use the particle system to create the pillows and to create the donuts as well. And it's all it's really nice, it's really fun. So we're just going to jump right in, and of course, it's extremely beginner friendly. So let's go. Okay. Hi everyone again. Welcome again. So the first thing we're going to look at is we need to understand that there are many modes in Blender, and since we're working on edit mode, I'm just going to try and keep it as simple as I can and as beginner friendly as I can. Now, in the object mode, there are a limited number of tools you can use. You could use you could scale, which is here, which is shortcut is S. Okay. You could move, you could rotate, they're all here, but the shortcut is R. You could scale, of course, and then you could move your object, which is this. Now, yes, it's really handy, it's really helpful, but there's a really limited number of things you could do. Now, but in edit mode, it makes it very easy to get your designs going. Now, to jump into edit mode, it's tab. You can click on tab and it toggles between your object mode and your edit mode. Now, moving on, the first thing you need to know is every object has, I call it different parts, right? So the first thing is the face. Each object has a face, a vertex, and an edge. Now, of course, first thing you can do is it's 1, 2, 3 on a number pad. So if I click on 1 and on vertex, these tiny dots here, they're called vertices. If you click on 2, it's an edge. An edge is this highlighted line, and then 3 is the face. So basically, an edge is a vertex connects different edges together, and a couple of edges make a face, basically. So shortcut again is 1 to click on vertex select, 2 the edge select, and 3 face select. So with this being said, you could delete faces. So I could just click on a face, click on X, delete a face, and you could see the face here is deleted. I could click on this X, delete a face, click on the one up X to delete a face. Now basically this is just how the room setup basically is, right? So I could just add maybe an extrusion or a solidify modify, and we have that ready. So it's really easy and it's really fun. Now, as I said, you could delete faces, you could delete edges. So if you want to delete an edge, you just click on 1 for the vertex selects. Okay, I'll click on to delete a vertex. I click on this. Now you could see it's highlighted. All these edges here are connected to this vertex. So if I click X, delete vertices, and then you see it deleted all the edges connected to it. And now for edge, you could click on 2, click X, delete edge, and then you could see deleted all the edges and the faces. Now with that being said, you could easily as well manipulate or grab, transform your edges. I could just grab this edge and move it around so you could have real fun objects like so. See, I'm just deforming the object and it's moving in the edge. Now you could also do that with face. You could click on the face, G. You could scale out the face like so. Yeah, you could scale out the face. You can move it inwards. You could also scale this out, and then you have something like this. But these are really fun. So it's really easy to actually create objects and edit them in your edit mode. Now, something that's very important to notice, if I go back to my object mode, if I create an object, Shift A, create an object, another cube, and just move it, and I have something like this, you could see I have two objects. However, if I want to edit this object here, this second one, I'll click on my tab, and then I can edit the second object, this object. Now, of course, it now limits me. I can't work with this object. So basically, the idea is that you're editing an object, right? So if I click on A, it selects only this object, and you know that A is to select all. So it selects only these objects. I really hope that makes sense. But as we move on, it makes more sense. So if I want to create another object, Shift A, let's say I want to create a cone. And I just move the cone up here. And I just move the cone up here. Right? So I basically have 3 objects. But if I go back to my object mode, you could see I can only move 2 objects, because basically the idea is that I edited this cone on this cube. Therefore, I can't move this separately. So how I normally explain this is that whatever you create in edit mode stays in edit mode, and you cannot move it or do anything to it outside the edit mode. So basically just have that idea. What happens in edit mode stays in edit mode. Okay, so let me just delete this and continue. Now we have, okay, let me create something else. Let me create a monkey, right? Now, another thing you have to understand is there are a lot of tools available here, and there are lots of options. Don't let that overwhelm you. I'll just show you the most necessary things you probably need. The first I want to show you is selection, how to select, because since we're working with we're going to work on multiple faces, multiple edges, multiple vertices. It's really good we know how to edit and select them. So I just create this monkey. Now the first thing you could do is you could click on tab, go to now you could see we have lots of faces selected. There are a whole lot of faces, and it's also, if for example you're told to select this a whole region, maybe this whole face, it could get a bit taxing. So I'm just going to show you the basic things, how we could select multiple faces, multiple edges, multiple vertices. Now real quick, there are a whole lot, but I'm not going to show you all. We could just take our time and go through them. So the first thing is A. A is to select all. Of course, you will notice that I have 2 objects, but I'm editing this one, so this is the only one that is shown. So you can only select this, right? So I'm just going to isolate this with my / and move on. Now, next thing I'm going to do is none. Alt A means none. Once you click on Alt A, it deselects everything you've done, so you'll be left with something like this, right? Okay, amazing. Now the next thing I want to show you is the box select. Now this basically means that if you could just drag your mouse across, and it selects the faces. Now it's also going to be very helpful to know that when you're working with multiple objects and edges, okay, let's say I want to select this whole mouse region. Now you notice that I successfully did that, but it didn't select those at the back. Or we can just do this, but it didn't select the back faces. Now how do we do this? The best thing I always do is I just jump into my wireframe mode. Shortcut is Z. Click on wireframe, right? So I could just come here and use my box select and drag across. And now you notice that you selected both the fronts and the back faces. So I think that is very helpful. Okay. What I used was a box select. Now the next I want to show you is circle select. Circle select basically creates a circle, and it helps you whatever you scroll across gets selected. Okay, let me use my front. Okay, so now let me just go back. The shortcut is C. And of course, if you want to reduce the size of the circle, you could just use your scroll wheel and scroll up and down, right? Then I could just drag across and you could see I have everything selected. Now, if I want to clean this, I could just hold down my scroll wheel and swipe back across and it does that. Now, I think this is really helpful in case you just need to select, in case you need to select smaller faces, you could just do something like this, right? And it's selecting just the half of the face, right? Okay. Now, the next question might be, how do I get out of this? Because it's a bit difficult to get out of. So, basically, you could just right click. It might be left click on your own, depending on setting, but I think typically it's just going to be the right click. Now, what next am I going to show you? I'm going to show you inverts. Okay. Now, what does invert basically do? And I'll show you how to use it. For example, we have let's say I select this face, or let me jump into wireframe and I select this face, this button face. Okay. Okay, so we have something like this, right? Okay. Now the next I'm going to do is, if I come here and click on invert, it's going to select every other thing besides the one I selected. So what it basically does, it just does the opposite. So if I select just these two faces and I click on I, which is to invert, okay, sorry, select, and I click on Control I rather, it selects every other thing and lists out my two previous selection. And to help get the point across, let's say let me create a UV sphere, and let me just go into the front view. Let me go to the wireframe view. And let's say I want to create something that looks like a plate. I could just select this two. Okay, that's too small. Maybe this two. We'll have something that looks like this. Then I could come here to select and click on invert. Now what is basically going to do, I could just click on delete faces. So it's going to delete every face and leave the initial faces. So with that, I could just select the edges here. Select an edges too. Alt and Shift to select all. And then you click on F. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then you could just click on F, and it fills your the hole. And then you could see we have an easy plate. And this is how I created a plate for the pizza. Now, okay, let me just Control Z and go back a bit. Okay. Control Z. Okay, so I just want to be left with this reading anchor. A. Now I submit. So now you mentioned another thing that's going to be important is to select multiple objects in rows. So I'm just going to choose A. I'm going to click on cylinder. Okay, so I'm just going to scale it out on the z-axis. I'll also isolate it so I can have only that on my screen. Remember to isolate is /. And I'll click here and go to front view. Now I'll just, for the purpose of learning, click on this, create multiple loop cuts. Okay. So we have something that looks like this. Now I want to select multiple faces. Like you can see, we have lots and lots of faces. And assuming you want to select this whole thing, this whole line with faces, it might be a bit difficult. So I'll just use my Alt and Shift. I'll click on the first, Alt Shift, and it selected all that whole line and makes my life way easier. We could just try it here, Alt Shift, and it did the same. Right, so Alt Shift is always the way to go. It selects multiple faces or edges in a single path, and we just short command Shift Alt Shift. So that is like the basics of what I wanted to show you about selection. Now there are other more, um, but of course I'm just going to keep it very simple, and we could also go over this again at a different time. Okay, so I'll just delete this, and then I want to show you how to start working with the tools. Okay, also, so we have something like this. So let me just jump right into it. So I click on tab, of course. Now the first thing you notice is the first tool, which is a very important tool, is extrude region. Now the shortcut, as you can see, is E. Well, you notice that extrude has like 5 other types of extrude. So these are sub options. But the shortcut for the main is extrude region is E. So you could just select the face you want to extrude, and remember you could also extrude edges, you could extrude vertices, but we're just going to skip it for edge and faces, right? Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is you can click on E and extrude, or you'll notice when you click on extrude you have this small yellow plus a line. What is basically asking of you, could just click it and move up, and you notice that it extrudes the face towards a specific axis. Now you might be asking or telling yourself or saying to yourself, what's the difference between this and scale on an axis? What this basically does is it creates a new cut. You notice it basically creates a new cut, like so. So this is what we're trying to get. So you could just also, to make the point go home, we could just extrude here. We could extrude here. We could extrude here. And then you have something basic as so. Alright, so to create something real fun, this is a cool exercise I think you should try. You could select a face here and delete the face. Delete face, right? Now you're now going to be, let's just go to the front view. You are going to be left with the edges. Now I told you could also work on edges, so I'm just going to click on 2 for edge select. I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to extrude it on the x-axis like so. So what I'm going to just basically create is an open box, right? An open cardboard box. Click here E to the X. Sorry. Okay. Ensure you're clicking extruding the right edge. I'm just going to put the X axis as it could be straight. I'll do the same here. E X. No. E to the Y. What I'm basically doing is I'm extruding this on the Y axis. So E to extrude Y to the axis. I'll have something like this. So here again, E to the Y axis, and we have this. And you could see we have a very nice open box. And I think this is really cool. And you could also animate this if you want. So it's just really easy to. So I'm just going to basically hide any object I create. I'm just going to hide it. To hide is function 2, F2. Open it. Rename it open box up here. Then I would hide. Right? Okay. Now, so what I'm going to do next, I'll go back to my object mode, Shift A. Now I want to show you other types of extrusion. So I might run a bit fast, or it just always play back to understand. So Shift A. Let me create a cube again. KGY X 0. So my cursor, my 3D cursor is a bit far. So I'll click on Ctrl S, cursor toward origin, clicked, and it has something like this. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is okay. Let me go back to my edit mode and show you other types of extrude. Now, remember I told you that the extrude region basically it extrudes your object to a specific region or direction. So, and in doing that, it creates an edge, right? It creates an edge like so. So this is awesome. Now, what next I would like to do is I would love to show you is another type of extrusion, which is extrude manifold. Now, they're all very similar, but they have very slight differences. So now let's see this. Now, all I'm just going to do, I'm going to extrude it. Now you'll notice something that there is no cuts here. Okay, let me just Ctrl Z. A, Ctrl D, G. So the X, so let me just, okay, let me just duplicate this, Shift D, G, X. We have something like this. So let me just show you the difference. So now I'm just going to extrude to manifold. And if you're finding it difficult to get those options, just come here and click and hold it, and then these options come down. Okay, so we'll have something like this. Now, if you notice, I've extruded, but it's not creating any cuts. Like, so this is very similar to scaling on an axis. You see, it's just extruding. It's not creating any extra cuts to work with. Now, in comparison to this, let me jump in here and let me extrude this with E. Now you could see the difference. This has a cut and this doesn't have a cut, and this would really help when we are modeling. So okay, so I'm just going to Ctrl Z to have just one cube. Okay, now I can show you how to teach you the other types of extrusion. I think I'll have to use a cylinder. I'm going to change it to around 16 vertices. Then I'll just hit it down X. Then I probably will isolate it so we can just have clearer viewport. So I'm just going to jump into my tab mode. Now I want to just extrude some of the faces along this side of the cylinder. Now I'm just going to select every other, yeah, okay. Let me just select like so. And I'll leave a space every other face like so. Like so. Okay, so we have something like this, and I really like this. Now I'm just going to come here and show you an extrude along numbers. Now I'm just going to do this. Now you could see what it's doing. It's joined both faces and extruded them. Right? It joined both faces and extruded them. Now this, you could use this to create some sort of a fan. It has really nice. Yeah, you could just use it. It probably add more details. Or just take it higher. Or you could add yourself a fan, like the blades of a fan. Okay, but now that is basically extrude along normals, and it just joins the edges and extrudes them to a specific region. Now if I Ctrl Z this, okay, and I want to extrude individuals, and what this basically does is it extruded each of those faces along their own region. Right? It didn't join them together. They're all separated and it's to their own direction. Right? So this is really important to know. You could just create something that looks like a deer. Okay, so I'm just selecting every other face, To select multiple faces, remember it's shift and then you click on the object. So if I have something like this, I have something that looks like a gear, right? I don't know if I need to save this, if I need it for later, but yes, I could just rename F2 and let's just call it gear. It looks like a gear. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and hide it. Now, so I think with that, okay, let me just open it back. Okay, let me create um another tube and just bring it up a bit. Now, okay, so we have this face select. And the last type of extrusion we have is extrude to cursor. So this is really easy. Now, what you can just do with this basically is that anywhere you click your face will just follow. It's really that easy. So anywhere you click, now this will be very helpful if you're creating some sort of uneven topology, right? So if you just do this, anywhere I click, it selects it. If I want to stop it, I could just go here to selection box and that ends. So it's really easy. There are different applications for it. We could use it to create a blade of grass, an uneven mesh, or anything, right? So I will just delete this. So that's about extrusion. Now I'm trying to keep the video as short as possible. So bear with me. You could just play back for more references. Okay, so now the next option we have here is bevel. Right. So what bevel basically does is bevel helps you smoothen up edges. Now I have this box and everything is selected, all the faces. Now the shortcut for bevel is Ctrl B. Then I can pull it down like so. Now you could see it's flattening out the edges. And if I keep drawing down, it begins to deform, right? And I don't want that. Now, this will really help you out. When you're building an object and you're flattening it out, and you want to create something like it's like a diamond shape, and it starts to deform. When you get to around here, just click on C, and you see it stops to deform, and then I have a really flat shape which I really like. Now, however, of course, I said again, bevel helps you to smoothen out and flatten out shape. So for example, I have a Ctrl B again, Ctrl B, and I'm going down. And what I want to do, maybe I want smoother edges. I'll just scroll up on my mouse wheel. As I'm going down, I keep scrolling up, and yeah, I created a really nice UV sphere. And it's really smooth. You could just shade this smooth and you have a really nice shape like so. This will really be helpful. Let me just take that again. Now I'll Ctrl B for bevel. I'll take it down like so. I'll now move up with my mouse scroll wheel and I'll keep going. Remember, I clicked on C, so it will make my object impossible to deform. So it just locks it in. And so this is what I have. And it's really, really nice and really easy. Now, of course, we're going to be creating really nice objects and really nice tools, as I said earlier. So let's just do one more, then we'll create something that's really nice. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is insert faces. Insert faces basically means it's just going to add another face on your existing face, and the shortcut is I. Now remember, for bevel, the shortcut is Ctrl B. For insert face, it's I. Now you see, just click on the face you want to insert, click on I, and begin to move inwards. Move inwards, and you could stop at any direction you want. So you could just have something like this, right? And then you could just delete this face and you have an empty box. Now, or you could just extrude upwards and you have something that looks like this. And that is really, really cool and awesome. Now, okay, so let's insert a face to this side. So I click on my eye and maybe I could do something this size. Then remember to extrude this E and now extrude like so. And this is create something really cool with this. So I want to just show you, okay, just for an exercise, you could pause this video and try this out. Right, just click on eye, insert a face, extrude, click on eye again, insert a face, extrude, click on eye, insert a face, extrude. Now just do this till you have a really tiny uh face. So I'll just probably stop around here. I think I okay, to just insert the last and I'll have something like this. So you could use this to create something real cool, a building or whatever essentially. So I'll just like you to try this out and ensure it works. Now, another thing I think I forgot to mention about extruding is you could just click here on the face. You could click on extrude without dragging it up. You could just scale and you have something like this. Is that easy? So you could just click on the face like so, E and S, and if you scaled out the extrusion without even entering. Now, to put this into perspective, let's just create something like a table, right? Let's create something like a table. Okay, so I'm going to click on this E and S, and we have a table top, then I'll extrude again. And then we already have a table literally already done. Now what we could do, we could just right click and subdivide. Now what this does basically is that it divides your face into a couple of other faces. So I could just subdivide again. Then I would select this and then I could just extrude on the z-axis. And then we have a really nice easy switch here. And you see how easy that was in edit mode, right? Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is to, I'll just rename this. So we could do another fun exercise and name it table. Then I would hide my table. Okay, so it now takes me to a loop cut. How do I use a loop cut? Basically, so A to select all. So how I use a loop cut is basically you click on Control R. Now I'll come here. Now you could see it's giving me options or where I want to add the cuts. So it's just going to create a cut, and that cut I can now adjust the whole set of edges. Now, another thing that's important is when you click on Control R and you have, let's say you want this side, you could just scroll up with your mouse cursor and just scroll wheel and add multiple cuts. And then you could just move it. Now you could see once you create loop cuts, you could see the number of cuts and you could just reduce it as you wish. Or so I just want mine at 1 is okay. Okay, so now you notice that if you click on the cuts you can try and move, and then you're only going to be affecting that cut. So let me just Ctrl Z and do it again. So we have Ctrl R and I'll create cut here, and then once you create the cut you could just move it back and forth, up and down, and once you drop it you can move the cuts again. Okay, so I'm just going to run a little faster. You could create a loop cut on up, like so. You just have to be moving around until you get the perfect angle you're looking for, and then you have something like this, right? So to drive this home, I'm just going to use the loop cuts, the bevel, and the extrusion to create something really nice, right? Okay, so I'm just going to create a loop. Click on A to select all, or I just click on 3. Okay, sorry. Let me just go here, edits, my preferences, impute. Okay. Okay, I'm back. So click on 3 and our face selection now. I could click on Ctrl R to add a cut. So I'm just going to add it around the middle here, which is fine. The next thing, I'm going to insert a face with my eye, like so. Okay, or insert another face like so at the second, and then I have a really nice. I have two new faces. Now, why I'm doing that is that I want to extrude. So I could just extrude like so. I could click on the top face of the second. This I'm trying to create a drawer, and then I could click on eye again, insert a face, and now delete that face. Okay, sorry. Remember, delete the face, and then do the same thing for this. But I would like it to be a bit smaller, right? So I'll select the top face, click on eye, and now delete the face. So then we notice that we'll have something that looks like this. If you turn off the could notice we'll have something that looks like this. Like an open drawer, sort of. Right? Okay. Okay. Or what I could just do, I could just make this. I could make the cuts a bit bigger. Then I could delete this face. And then it now looks truly okay, I could just delete this face, let me see. Now it looks something like so, and it looks like the drawer is really open. And just check it in material, and you can see we have something really nice. Okay, so what next I'll do is of course in edit mode I'll just shift and right click so I could move my cursor to the selected area, shift A, create a UV sphere, and I would scale it down like so. And here, shift A, UV sphere, scale down like so. And then have this. So this is a really interesting design, and I just used of course I used the loop cuts. I didn't even need to bevel. I used the loop cuts. I inserted the loop cuts at the center. I now extruded, inserted a cut at the top, and yeah, we have something like this. So I'm just going to rename this drawer. This will be a side drawer. Side drawer. Click and hide it. Okay. So that's shift A. Q. Yes. Now I may not be able to show all. I might create a circle. Now the other tools, there's a spin tool. Now what this basically does is it's basically just creates a spin out of an object. So I'm just going to I won't really dwell on this so much, but I'll just show you how it works. Okay, so let me delete this. Shift A, let me just create a cylinder. Okay, so scale it like so. Yeah, and I'll go to my object, my edit mode, click on Ctrl R to add the loop cuts, and now increase number of cuts like so. Then let me go to the front view. I'm just trying to adjust it to the best possible view. Okay, so what I want to just show you is how to use a spin. So okay, let's go to the front. So let's say let's say we're trying to create something that looks like a cup. I'm not going to bother about creating the perfect shape. Just want to show you how the tool works. So for the spin tool, you could just click on spin. Now you see something like this appear, right? So this is trying to tell you to, what it does, it extrudes the face and spins it. So I want to create something that looks like a handle. So I'll just click on Y, okay? And now to move this shape, you just have to click on Shift, and yeah. Sorry, let me re-enable my screencasts. Okay, I could just increase my font size and the now size like so. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we have this. Now you notice that anywhere, now to spin this, you just need to hold down this plus and drag. Now it's a bit much, so you could just take it slowly and just drag. Okay, you could shift it inwards, shift and move it closer, and then you could have something that looks nice like this. Now this is not the best example. I'm still going to do a video. So you see, it's just a bit rough, but that is how it basically works, right? You could just create a spin out of an object. You could just do it here and just create a spoon. So that what you could use it for, a cup handle. Or so that's the basic idea. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, and hopefully I'm going to create a follow-up for this. And yes, okay, now with that being said, we've touched a whole lot of tools, and the video is getting way longer than I expected. Now, but that is majority of what you need for the project I showed you at first. Okay, so now just trying to create that project. Okay, let me delete all this. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how we created this, everything here, and it's really easy, and I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. So I'm just going to clear everything and hide. Okay, now for the first thing I'm going to do is Shift A. Let's just create a cube. I'll scale out the cube like so. Now this is going to be the room setup. I'll just delete these faces, and then we have this. Okay, so I'm just going to GZ and move it above the green. Now to achieve a certain kind of thickness, I think this would be a good place to introduce a modifier. So I'll just come here to this icon, click on modifier, search, and click on solidify modifier. Now if you increase the thickness, you could see you have something like so. Yeah, we have something like so. Yeah, so this is okay. Now to create the necessary elements we need. So what we have sofas, we have a table, we have a donuts. Yeah, and I think that is just that basically. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to create the sofa. So I want to create it here. So I'm just going to Shift A. Now the sofa has two things. It has the pillows, and that's where I'm going to introduce just a little of the physics property. Don't worry, it's not going to be so complicated. So I'm just going to create a cube, move it up, and then scale like so. Of course, I'm going to isolate so I can work on just this alone. Okay, so this is just going to be the foundation of my sofa seats. We're going to create the pillow a bit later. Now what I'm going to do is I'll jump into my editing mode, Control R, I want to create some loop cuts. Here, I'll move it up like so. Yes, so I'll create another one Here, I'll move it towards this side. I'll create another one like so. I'll move it this edge like so. So I have, this is going to be my chair, my sofa, and I'm just going to click on 3. I'll select this cut like so and extrude them. And then we have something that looks like so, like this. And okay, so I have something like this. Now what I want to do next is, this is a bit too it's too slim. So what I want to do basically is I want to make it higher. I want to take it higher. Now how do I do that? Okay, now I'm just going to click here and I'll extrude it upwards. Then we have something like this, and I really like this. Next thing I'm going to do, I'll click on it because I still want it to go higher a bit, but I'm just going to separate this face. So to separate the face, you click on P, and you click on P, sorry, and you separate by selection, and you go back to your object mode and click on this. You see it's now separate from others. You jump back to your edit mode, you click on G to grab and Z on the, okay, sorry, we'll click on G, then Z, take it a bit higher like so, then you extrude downwards. Now, reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to bevel it separately. I click on A, Control B to bevel, and then I could just do it like so, just a little bit. And I think I'm really okay with this. It gives me what I'm looking for basically. I could now just scale it out and adjust it perfectly. And I really like this. No, next I'm going to do, I'm going to bevel the whole seat. Click on tab A to select everything, then Control B, and I'll bevel it just slightly, just a little like so. I won't want the shade to get deformed, so I think we have something like this. Alright, I'm not happy with this. This is because I extruded this. Well, I can live with it. Yours could probably be better. Yeah, yours should be better. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create some sort of cushion for these edges. Okay, so I just want to create the cushion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll shift A to create a cube. Okay, so let me just isolate this so I can have only this on my screen. Right, I'm just going to scale this down real well, like so. Okay, and this is okay. Now jump into my my edit mode. I'll click on Ctrl R to add loop cuts. Now I want 10 loop cuts on each side, so I'm just going to come here and add it myself. 10, right? Now click on Ctrl R, create another loop cut on this side and make it 10 as well. You could just type in the 10 like so, and then we have 10 cuts on each side. Now what I want to do is I want to create the last cut on the width, which is around here. So I'll click on Ctrl R, yes, here, and just leave it at the center. So you could see we have smooth geometry like this. Now I'm just going to jump into physics property, click on physics. Now it's important to follow these steps to the end. Now ensure that your timeline is on 0. So you click on cloth physics, you go down to pressure, click on pressure, make it 2. Go to under field weight, which is going to be close in yours, and reduce the gravity to 0. Then once you click play, you'd see you have something like this. Now you also notice that wherever you're satisfied with the size, you could just stop it right there. Now I'm okay with this here, around 30. Yours could be a bit different, but it doesn't matter, it's the same idea. Now I'm going to click on it. Now I'm going to go to modifiers, add modifier, search for subdivision surface. Now subdivision surface basically smoothens out your and adds cuts and divisions and makes your geometry pretty smooth. Now I'm just going to increase it to 3, and I'll right click and shade smooth. Now I have something like this, which is really clean. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to apply. Now ensure you apply from the first one, which is cloth, apply, then apply the subdivision. Now this is okay, I could just reduce it a little, but I'm really okay with this, so I'm just going to click on my / to exit. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to highlight only these two so I can work on them. Okay, so I'll just move this way. I'll move it in here, right? So you can just take out time. So I'm just going to, okay, I want this sofa to be a bit bigger, so I'll just scale on the x-axis like so, and this is better, right? So I'm just going to move this here, G to the x-axis, keep this here. Now, and I'll add another modifier. Click here, search array, right? So you could just come, add modifier, search. You could just search for ARRAY, which is array. Click on it. Then you'll notice we have two of this. Now what this basically does, if I rotate this, the second one rotates. So how this modifier works is, now you will notice that the count is 2. So if I click here, I can make it 3, 4, 5, 6, and they are all the same, right? And if you have, say, 5 and you move 1, you have to move all of them. That's why I prefer it to duplicating. Now you notice that I have a lot of space here, so I can just reduce that by reducing the offsets. Now the offset handles the distance between both objects. So I think I'm really satisfied with this. Then I could just apply. Okay, then I could just shift this inwards. Yes. Okay, I'll duplicate it, shift D. Then I'll grab on the z-axis. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rotate it on the x-axis like so. So what I did was I clicked on R, X90, G, and it might be different for you because you might be on a different rotation value. So I'm just going to G to the Y and move it towards the back. And then I have something like this. Yes, then I'm going to move this. I'm going to scale it out on the y-axis like so. So basically I'm just trying to adjust it. So I want to have, okay, this is a bit too thick, so I could just scale it on the z-axis and move it down. And this is what I have. I have a tiny little sofa here. Now you could just adjust the edges if you want, but I think I really like this already. So this is just basic, right? Now I don't want to go so far to start adjusting, increasing the bevel and increasing the width. But you can just do that on your own. I'm just trying to show you how to get started off with this. Okay, so I'm just going to isolate back and move it somewhere around here. I could just scale them together. So this is our first. I'll just move it. This is our first sofa. Yeah, and scale. Let me just make this a bit bigger. So I'm just trying to select everything. I want to duplicate. I could just shift D and move it on the y-axis, and I could rotate like so. I could just rotate it to face forward. Yep, I like this. Now it's really easy, just have to take out your time and adjust everything you want. Okay, so this is really nice, but I think I should just shift out my chair. Yeah, I could just shift out, sorry, my chair. I just select everything, shift, and okay, so I mistakenly selected the walls, so G to the Y. Oh, I think I made a mistake. So I'm just trying to shift this here, so I'll just click on all the necessary things I need. G, X, and oh, I didn't click on this. G, Y, or X, and we have something like this. Right, so this is okay. I think something is missing here. Oh, okay, when I was duplicating, I didn't duplicate it. Oh, I can just delete this. Okay. Okay, I think these items are linked, so I could just hide this, and then I'll just duplicate. I think I mistakenly linked my objects. Okay, I'll just shift D. Oh, shift D and grab it like so. So this is better. Then I can just rotate it again and make it 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm just taking our time and making it real slow. G, X, Y. Okay, so now we have this, and this looks good. Now remember, if we already created a drawer earlier, so you could just add it here, or you could create another. Now I want to just show you how to create a donut, right? And that completes our scene. Now for the chair, you could just isolate one, go under if it has. Okay, sorry, let me just. You could just create legs. You could subdivide and create legs if you wish. Okay. Now the next thing, I can just move this like so. Now I just want to show you how to create a donut, and I'm done with this. Now okay, let me just shift A to create a torus. Let me isolate it. Now okay, shift A to create a torus. Now you have to make sure your minor radius is at 0.5, and then you add a subdivision search, subdivision surface, increase it to around 3. Now ensure your timeline is at 0, because we're going to be using the physics property again. So okay, we'll now shift D, G to the Z axis, and we have something like so. Now I'll just want to scale this out. I'll jump into my edit mode, click Alt S and scale. I just want it to be a bit slim like this. Okay, so this really works. Amazing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll go to Objects, Quick Effects, Quick Liquid. Then we have something like this. Now just click on the bottom torus, which I'll make the effector. So I'll go into physics property. This time I'll select fluid, right? The type none. Right, I'll now increase the sampling size, so around 2. Okay. Now then I'll click on the box. Now it's important to follow the steps so you don't make any errors. Okay, resolution 38. Then I would go down here to make it a mesh. Then if I click on play, now you'd see I have something. Okay, let me go back to solid mode, and then you'd see I have something like this. then I'll just press play, pause, and I think I'm really okay with this. Then I can hide it. Now, very important, you just click on this, the liquid, go to object and convert it to a mesh. That way you could move it around, right? Then another thing that's important, let's just create a sprinkle. Now to do that, it's really simple. You are going to use particles. So come here to particles, click add particles. Now you could see we already have particles, but want something a bit more. Okay, but before that, I'm just going to create let's just create a UV sphere. You could use anything actually. You could use anything, but I'm just going to make mine like so, and I'll shade it smooth. Now this is going to be what is going to be our sprinkles. Now, so I'm going to click here, click on hair. Now just click on advanced and reduce the hair to around 500. Yours could be a bit different, but for now leave it at 500. Then we're going to render as. You click come to render, click on render as object. So instead of hair, I want it to be an object. So I'll come to this eyedropper tool, instant objects, click on it and click on my UV sphere. Now you could see he made it sprinkles, right? So we've basically attached some particles, and if you scale it down, it affects this, right? So this is really easy. Now just come and hide it, don't delete it, hide it so that it could remain on this. So now we have our donuts. We could scale, take it around here, then create a plate. I already showed you how to create a plate earlier in the video. And create a plate, create a table, and maybe a wardrobe here, and your room is basically set. Now with that, thank you so much for watching. I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. Remember to adjust every part of your work so that it fits properly. Okay, so I'm just going to move this. Okay, I'll now G to the Y. Then we have something like this. Now this is not perfect, but yours should be better. And I'm trying to just make this real easy and basic. Now with that being said, thank you so much for watching. You could just add other elements and make it better. Create a table, create some other chairs, and create maybe a water cup, a bottle, and you have an amazing setup. So with that being said, thank you so much. Kindly like the video, subscribe. If you have any concerns or issues, just type it in the comments below and I'll respond to each and every one of them. Thank you guys, see you in the next one.